All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Luke Kuechly went on with Kay Adams and talked Brock Purdy. We'll talk about that coming up next. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some Pig and a Pickle. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. And this video is also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they'll match you up to your first $100. All right, let's talk a little bit about Luke Kuechly. And Kuechly went on with Kay Adams on her show. And our good friend Raj from RSF 49ers put this out on Twitter. So we'll listen to what Kuechly had to say. Kuechly is obviously a great linebacker who played for a number of years. Trying to stop opposing quarterbacks was his job. And let's hear what Kuechly says with Kay Adams, and then we'll react to it next. Here is Luke Kuechly on with Kay Adams talking Brock Purdy.
He wins games. That's all he does. He comes back and, you can find knocks on him. He can't come back and win a game. We did that twice this postseason. And you look at his numbers, and if you took his name out of there and you just showed numbers from the last 2 years, I think it'd be a completely different conversation. But when I look at a guy like him, if you're studying Brock, you're like, all right, what does he do well? I think he's quick with the football. I think he knows where he's going. He showed the ability to scramble. But then at the end of the day, I think if you're writing a scouting report on Brock Purdy, it says winner. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I think people are starting to kind of come around on that a little bit. Obviously, he's got dudes around him. He's got Trent, he's got Christian, he's got Debo, he's got Ayuk, he's got Kittle. Obviously, Kyle is phenomenal as a play caller. That's not his fault that he's in that system and had the success he's had. I think he wins football games, and you watch how guys talk about him in the locker room. They love him and they believe in him. And man, I root for guys that do it the right way, like I kind of talked about, and I'm a big fan of his.
All right, there's Luke Kuechly, the former All-Pro linebacker. Very as good a linebacker as there was in his day, really. Talking Brock Purdy, and he hits on a number of things there. One, Brock Purdy's just a winner. I mean, that's what the guy does. He went to Iowa State and got them to the Fiesta Bowl. He won a lot in college, and then he comes in as an NFL player. He didn't play until week 13, where he was asked to come off the bench, and essentially he went 6-0 to finish the year. He beat Miami and then won the next 5 games that he started. So technically he's got a 5-0 record in the regular season as a rookie, but he was really 6-0. And then he went to the playoffs and he won 2 games. And then the only game that he lost in the playoffs was the game that he got knocked out 6 plays in. So overall, Brock Purdy had an amazing first year. You could argue that he was 8-0. 8-0 and then knocked out of the Philly game. That's really what he was. He completed 67% of his passes, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He played really, really well. And he was the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year, 3rd runner-up, I think. He was then he followed it up. Then he had that major elbow surgery in the offseason. Nobody knew how he was going to recover. And then he hit the ground running this year. He was ready in camp, well ahead of schedule. And then he goes 12-4 in the regular season. And played incredible football. MVP type caliber football. Completed 69.4% of his passes. 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 9.6 yards per attempt. Fantastic number. 13.9 yards per completion. Fantastic number. Best in football. Average yards per attempt was 9.9. Best in football. Quarterback rating, 113.0. Best in all of football. 72.7 QBR, best in all of football. The guy was fantastic. So now here we are. He's had a 2-year career. He won 2 more playoff games. So now he is 4-1 in playoff games and really 4-0 in playoff games that he started and finished. So you're talking about a guy now who's 21-5 across the board. And it's really more like 22-5 because he won that Miami game, even though that was a Garoppolo start. He came in, first, second series. They were down a touchdown already. And he led them to a big victory, a one-sided victory. So 21-5 is his total record, really more like 22-5. And the guy has just been absolutely fantastic. I mean, what he's done so far in the NFL, he's completed 68.7% of his passes, 44 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions in the regular season over 2 years. The best yards per attempt in the entire league, the best yards per attempt in yards per completion in the entire league, throwing for 226 yards per game, a 111.4 quarterback rating, number 1 in the NFL. So over the last 2 years. So the guy's played at a really high level. And as Kuechly says here in this video, is it his fault that Kyle Shanahan is the play caller? No. Is it his fault that he's got weapons like Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel? Is that Brock's fault? No. Not at all. He's been outstanding, and really, what Kuechly said is, hey, the guy's a winner. The guy's a winner. And really, more than anything, I think what you could say is, winner, okay. Who wins and who loses. Football's a team game. So I don't know that I feel comfortable saying he's a winner necessarily, because there's a lot of things that go into winning, including good defense, special teams, and everything. But I will say this. After watching him run around in the second half against Detroit, there's no doubt that Brock Purdy is an elite competitor. And when you put the money on the table, he's going to compete. He is really going to compete. So that's really it. I mean, what do you want? You want a guy who's going to compete. The ball comes out accurately, on time. The players in the room love him. He's a humble guy. He's a tough guy. He's a great competitor. He loves the process of pro football, which means he's going to watch all the film and he's going to put in the hours, and he's diligent, and football's important to him. So, I mean, there's a lot to like about Brock Purdy, and I can see exactly what Kuechly is talking about. He's basically just saying, hey, look, Brock Purdy in a short amount of time has established who he is, and his teammates love him, and he wins games, and he produces, points and touchdowns, and there's nothing not to like. And so Kuechly said, man, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Brock Purdy. And now you can see why. You can see why he feels that way, because Brock has played 25 career regular season games and 21 starts over 2 years, and he's 17-4. And he started and finished 4 NFL playoff games, and he's won all 4. So you're talking about a guy who's playing at a really high level, and a week from Sunday has a chance to win the Super Bowl. He's one win away from winning the Super Bowl as a 24-year-old second-year quarterback. There's a lot to like. 49er fans feel very lucky that they have this player on their team. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the video. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.